Today, I want to talk about velocity, benchmarks, and trajectory. So, in my coaching program at the Stone Protocol, I have these three concepts. I find it to be incredibly helpful for basically understanding how to make good choices. So, let's actually start first with a benchmark. A lot of people can think of this as like goal setting. So, you want to have something that you want to achieve in your life. Now, an actual goal is more of a direction, and this is similar to the velocity that we're talking about. But a benchmark is, for example, a lot of people want to lift 315 or 405 on bench. If you take anabolic steroids, you can even push much beyond that. But the solid like 315, 405 for a dude is like, that's a really solid lift. So that's a really good benchmark. The interesting thing about a life goal, and I experience this a lot in martial arts, a lot of people like get their black belt and they're done. It's like once you hit 315, what now? And they kind of lose sight of that actual momentum of what they want to achieve. So when we think of our goals as just benchmarks, and that we're actually on a trajectory where we're on a movement towards something else, the actual goal itself is not the benchmarks. The benchmark is then the measurement of our success ratio of how fast we're actually achieving whatever that liminal single goal is. And then it doesn't have to be about 315. It can be about 205. It can be about 150, whatever it is. These are bodybuilding terms. Sorry for bench press. Sorry for people who don't lift weights. This is specific weight on a barbell when you lift weights. And for the bodybuilders out there and the gym bros and the gym gals will know what I'm talking about. My point here is, and this is very important, when we put all of this emphasis on one final destination, when we actually achieve that, we can lose the momentum of what got us there and hopefully the joy of making the actual experience fulfilling. So we have benchmarks. Now, let's take a look at, okay, what is our direction? So to understand where we are going in our life and what our kind of decision-making matrix is, how can we make good choices? How do we know that our benchmarks are good? Is 405 a good idea for my joints? Is getting married a good thing for me? Should I take this new job? Should I buy this car? Should I get a dog or a cat? Whatever these things are, if you don't actually know the direction that your life is headed, then you can't really understand whether or not you actually want to achieve these things for yourself. And so we can orient ourselves almost like to a star map. There are so many options, so many different benchmarks that we can go and try to achieve. Now we're playing kind of like 5D chess here. You can be moving in multiple directions at once on this larger matrix, but you only have so much velocity. That's your momentum. If I'm trying to hit 405, I can do 405. But let's say I hadn't yet hit 405 yet. If I'm trying to hit 405 and run a marathon simultaneously, I'm going to be pulled in two different directions. Let's say I want to maximize my sexual experience and then also get married. Well, probably not going to happen at the same time unless you're open relating or poly, and that has its own complications. And we can talk about that in another video. So you want to have your direction having a cone out in front of you of the kind of available benchmarks to you while still maintaining the momentum of your life. So velocity can be looked at from this perspective as the ability to choose well on a regular basis without running out of available use resources and without burning out. If I'm hitting my benchmarks too quickly, boom, 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 I'm going to put again, coming from this bodybuilding perspective, put my joints under strain. If I'm also trying to run a marathon, I'm going to blow up my knees. My central nervous system is going to be, under stress. It's very unrealistic. And so to actually understand where's the direction that I want in my life, where am I actually headed long term? I find that a lot of clients, whether in their 20s or their 30s, they aren't yet able to measure in decades. I'm 40 now, and so I can measure in decades. And I remember a good friend of mine, when she turned 40, she goes, wow, it's like a superpower. I can actually now measure my life in a way that allows me to really put myself in the next several decades from here with the understanding that I can have benchmarks way down the line that I will be able to achieve in the far future. But you need to have the velocity or the momentum to actually achieve those things. So when we have these three concepts, benchmark, We line them up, and it's like stars on a star map. We're going to go to Alpha Centauri, then we're going to go to Betelgeuse, and then we're going to go to Deneb. We can then create a path for ourselves based on our direction of where we're headed. And then we have a velocity of available use resources so we can choose well along that path. And we want to balance out all three. And that involves rest, and it involves really understanding exactly what we want in life, what brings us joy. And we'll talk about joy in another video, but joy is such an important thing because that is the fuel that really propels this entire experience.